Welcome to the Growth Boss Podcast, where we seek out the secrets to high-performing campaigns from some of the smartest marketers in the world. I'm your host, Jared Smith. Today, I have Lyndon with me, and he's going to teach us his content stacks method on developing a content blueprint. Lyndon, widely recognized by his online moniker, Darth Autocrat, is a seasoned internet business consultant specializing in search engine marketing, encompassing both SEO and PPC, as well as content marketing, social media, user experience, conversion optimization, and online reputation management. With a reputation for fixing what other SEOs broke, Lyndon brings a wealth of experience and a critical eye to the digital marketing landscape. Lyndon, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And Lyndon, you are the first guest I've ever had on here who is not showing their face, which I think adds to kind of the intrigue and suspense of what we're about to do. So for all a podcast audience that doesn't watch this on YouTube, I think we're all super excited to learn from you.
Oh, well, it's not like they're missing much.
So, Lyndon, talk to us about content marketing and developing kind of a content blueprint. What are some of the keys to success?
The primary one is basically fulfilling your audience's needs. I don't know when it happened, but content became a major commodity. Google kind of pushed it. The more content you have, the better your rankings in general. The more topics you cover, the more opportunities to rank. And all of a sudden, the web just burgeoned with information and a lot of copies and a lot of clones and a lot of misinformation with it. The result is there's an awful lot of content out there that isn't needed, isn't wanted, isn't accurate, and doesn't actually help your business. People spend thousands building websites and filling them up with fluff. So the idea is you get back to bare basics. You're in business. You have a website for business. You should have content that serves that business.
Yeah, 100%. And so I think a lot of people look at content these days, again, because of exactly what you just said, because of how Google has pushed it from an SEO perspective. So they run the keyword through Ahrefs or whatever their favorite SEO tool is. That tool tells them, okay, here's all the different topics you need to cover. What is the appropriate way to view topic selection in the first place?
It's a terrible thing for an SEO to say, but it's not starting with keyword research. I can hear people grabbing pitchforks and torches. You have products, you have services, you sell those. In some case, you're a publisher, you have news. That's what people are there for. You don't go off and go, okay, what's the most searched for thing this month? That's not how you do a business. If you were a brick and mortar shop, you wouldn't be running around going, oh yeah, somebody mentioned socks. Let's sell socks. You just wouldn't do it. So instead, you look at what you've got, what your services are, what your products are. Then you look at which ones have the biggest margins. Which ones, if you sold, will make you the most money. Which ones sell? Which ones have the highest conversions? Work out where the overlap is, the intersect. Those are your primaries. You build those out so that you've got a solid set straight away. If someone searches for that product or service, you've got a page to convert them then and there. Then you work it backwards.
Okay. Very good. So let's talk about the specific pages that somebody's going to create. What needs to be on those pages? Again, because of Google's influence, the average SEO is going to say, hey, the top 5 pages that rank for XYZ term have an average of 3,000 words. So therefore, we need to have an average of 3,000 words. Do you agree with that?
Yes and no. Google have made a rod for their back and everybody else's. The way that it basically works is things are comparative. They're relative. So Google will see what seems to satisfy people out of what they've already scored up, what's relevant. So they go, okay, this matches that query. These, all through our algorithms, hit all the right notes. This is our base set. This is a rough order. We'll show them. Over time, we're going to refine them, shuffle them, so on and so forth. The problem is that causes a kind of skew because everyone goes and copies. So you end up with all these little parrots and it gets a bit lossy. A bit like if you photocopy the same thing repeatedly. Well, use each photocopy and then create the next one off of that. Or if you open and save a JPEG, then open that saved one and save it again. You actually lose details. And the same happens with content. We end up basically going, okay, what ranks? That ranks. Let's create a version of that. And it warps, it morphs. Mm-hmm. And it's not actually a guarantee that that's actually the best thing. You have to trial it sometimes. You have to go, okay, they all say this. We could, or we could try this and we'll suck it and see. And every now and then, that new thing, that's actually what people have been after, but nobody's done it.
Yeah.
You become a clear knockout winner. Other times, it's like, okay, that doesn't work. Let's emulate what everyone else has done. We'll do that. We'll just do it better. We'll do it properly. We'll cover all the bits they missed. Because most of the time, it's not the people in the know producing the content. It's either an SEO who doesn't really know the field or the industry, or some poor soul that they've hired that's being paid peanuts in some other country that's just literally going back to Google, reading 3 pages on 3 sites and going, aha, I know this now. No, it just doesn't really work.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. So the goal then is just, hey, put Google aside, put SEO aside, and what do I believe the users actually want? Is that kind of the goal?
It's the real world. And it is no different than it was before the internet. Mm-hmm. You have things to sell, so you have a catalogue. You have services to sell, you have a brochure. You list in these things what's available, what makes them distinct, what the prices are, how they benefit people. Yeah, benefits before features, but you still got to list the features as well because it helps people decide. You have your sales collateral. You have the little things that go, here's the main catalogue. If you're after this specific range of stuff or this particular task, try this one. And then you have a bigger brochure with more specific information for them. And it gives them a more informed view. That's how it works with things like B2B. You go and spend thousands on a mass copier. You're not spending, 800 on some silly little Canon. You are buying a monster thing. You need to know what its capacity is, what its failure points are, what it's really good at, so that you can justify it to the boss. From there, you need the awareness info. People have problems. That's normally what they're doing when they search. I can't do this. How do I do it? This keeps happening. How do I avoid it? So you build up a nice little stack. So you just basically take the funnel and turn it upside down. You start with what would have been the bottom of funnel, the product page, and then you build layers underneath to support it. That means every question, every issue, every bit of information a prospect wants, you should already have. You don't need keyword research. It's fairly obvious what people are going to ask. And we all know, because we all use the internet, or I'm going to assume 99.9% of us do. We've all tried to buy stuff online. We've all tried to research, what telly should we get? What's the new air fryer? Are they worth it? And then we get really frustrated because nobody's actually got the content we want.
Yep.
It's horrendous. It's 2025. How do people still not get this right?
Yeah. Again, it's 2 decades of Google telling you, here's what we're going to reward, which I feel like so many SEOs are going to struggle with this because they're like, hey, if the average number of words on page 1 of Google is 3,000 words, how can I come in with a great 500 word or 750 word web page and compete? Are you saying that people really can? And the reason why everybody's at 3,000 words is because that's just what everybody else is doing, but it's really not required?
There's a natural skew to it. It's the way that information retrieval works and the way that they do matching is larger content generally has more relevant terms. You will use the searched for term more often. You will use complementary and associated terms more often. So when you're scoring content, long form does tend to be a better match. Then you've got satisfaction. If you are looking for a very specific bit of information, a short, concise answer is fantastic. But the reality is what normally happens is you start with a query journey. You have this question, but there's child questions that normally come afterwards. And what used to happen was you would bounce back and forth. You'd go to a page, read it and go, oh, right, so now I need, and then you go back and do another search, get another page, read that. So you end up with partial answers dotted around. I call it completeness. How complete is a piece of content that will answer the original question and all subsequent? And it's not a secret. Google have literally spelt it out to us for over 15 years. Because when you look at the SERP, they give you suggestions when you start typing. They give you suggested searches at the bottom. And then you've got things like the people also ask block. So you can literally see how people progress and migrate from the start of their journey to the end. So you can see what you should be covering in your piece or in a directly linked to subsequent page.
Sure.
So long as it's one or the other, you're normally all right. The problem is I myself like short, succinct answers. I ask a question. I don't want to have to wade through 2,000 plus words to find the relevant bit. Google knows it's a problem because they started using fragments, what we call the hashes in the URL, and then they introduced the text directive, scroll to text, which is, you see that funny highlight in Chrome and the browser opens and you're halfway down the page. That's to compensate for the fact that Google favours these longer pieces rather than short, succinct ones that give you the exact answer you're looking for then and there. So a 500-word page generally won't cut it these days, unfortunately. Google denies the bias, but it's basically irrefutable. It's sat there every day in front of us. You don't need to exactly match what's out there. If everyone else has got 3,000 words, you can do it with 2,500, so long as you answer the questions that are coming.
Brilliant. Okay. Now, one of the pieces that you provided in the pre-show document was to forget about topical authority. I got really excited when I saw that. I'm a big fan of topical authority, so I'm excited to learn maybe where I've misunderstood the concept or come up short. So where are SEOs getting topical authority wrong these days?
There's two parts. You have topical authority and then you have topic maps. And there is a big thing with topic maps. You've got to cover all these terms. You've got to have pages for all these words. What we've done, we've raided a thesaurus and we've pulled out 52 other variants that you've got to cover.
Sure.
It just creates an awful lot of fluff content that people don't typically search for, don't generally want. And those few that do come for the wrong reason. These aren't tied to your business. It's a bit like having a bookstore and being a library. One does not really complement the other. You may think you'll get tons of people come to your library and buy books, but what actually happens is they all come, they all look, they all check books out for free, and nobody actually buys anything from you. That's what happens with all this topical map stuff, is you end up with all this stuff that just works against your business model instead. You are better off investing in content that does lead to conversions, if not directly be a conversion. The other thing is Google is cracking down more and more. They crawl less often, they index less. If you don't meet certain thresholds for satisfaction or inbound links, it seems to be that Google will just go, yeah, we're only going to index 50% of you now. The other 50% of your pages we're not interested in. Either they're just low quality or they're unoriginal, or we've already got 50 versions of it. So you're just spending money on content that isn't needed.
Yep. And so your favorite form of content, and I would agree with this, is again really focusing on the questions that your customers are asking. Is that correct?
Yes, this sounds really odd considering I'm quite antagonistic. I like to please people. I like to know that people have read my stuff, had their questions answered, and are happy. And that's how business works. You don't sell stuff by disappointing people. All your content has to satisfy the prospect. The more you do it, the faster you do it, the smoother you do it, the more likely they are to open their wallet and give you their money. It's a logical process.
And are you publishing these, again, kind of FAQs as sub pages under kind of your main parent or money pages? Are you doing it as blog posts? Where do you like to put this content?
I hate the word blog. Most people don't need blogs.
Okay.
A blog technically originally was weblog. It was a bit like a diary. Problem is people built content management systems for blogging and it's stuck. Most people actually produce articles or guides or instructional pieces, educational material, and that's what a content stack is. You build out the relevant content formats people need to answer their questions, handle their objections, walk them through the sales funnel and get them to convert. So it depends on the nature of your business, the type of client, B2C, B2B, high ticket, low ticket, high risk, low risk. Mm-hmm. And then you build out the relevant content. If you're selling shoes, you don't really need tech sheets. You can have spec sheets, but you don't need to outline, all the materials, how it was made. You do that for higher end hardware. For services and that, you're looking more at white papers, case studies. You can do data and analysis, success stories. That stuff doesn't really apply for B2B and smaller ticket items though. Those, you need things like customer reviews, editorial reviews. One that works across the board in most cases is comparisons. And you see people mention it all the time. Yeah, have comparison content. It's like, well, which type? You can do you versus them, and there's multiple them. You can do them one versus them two and compare different competitors. You can do multi, A versus B versus C. You can do best of. They're all valid forms, but different types of products and services for different markets will prefer different types. You need to be able to figure out which ones to invest in.
Okay. I'm pulling it all together now, Lyndon. What is your thoughts on AI content and AI creating the content? AI is getting pretty smart these days. Don't you think it can kind of determine what the user wants or not so much?
Yes and no. So it's a tough question.
Yep.
I personally have objections to the way that it's all come about. I personally think it is, IP theft, copyright breach. On the other hand, it's phenomenal. It is impressive. We have come on leaps and bounds. We're able to do stuff that even 2 years ago was just going to be, no, never, not in a decade. And yet here we are. AI is a big field though, and we've had it for, I think like 70 years. And we're going back to the 1950s. And AI's helped us for decades do various things. Did you ever hear about Target? It was Target. And the pregnancy kits.
I don't think so.
So Target sent out little congratulatory, you're going to be a mum, gift packs to people based on their shopping habits, which came as a surprise to some of the recipients because they didn't even realise they were pregnant, apparently.
Right.
That's done by an algorithm called a priori. It's commonly referred to market basket analysis. So you just look at, strings, sequences of things that people buy, find the common denominators, attach them to segments of audience. You can now start predicting things. We've had that for years. Big stores have used it for ages. They also use it for things like store layout. A lot of stores will have things like, you'll have the alcohol aisle and it will be very, very close to the infant and nappies aisle, which, when you think about it, is a little bit odd, but apparently those products are often bought together, which is a bit concerning from a parenting point of view.
Sure.
But it's one of those things, AI can do it. So what we've got now is, it's basically, a lot of the chat stuff is statistical parrots, but it does the job. It's not bad at what it does. It will get better. You can refine it, you can constrain it, you can get it to validate. Sash and I spent a while building out a system so that we can input stuff and it will go off, check it, come back and correct it for us, which saves us a ton of time and effort. That's now becoming standard. The whole deep research, it's just a loop, go to a relevant page. Oh, look, there's links on that page. Follow those links, read what's on them. It's not rocket science, but it does look clever. And the output is better quality, which isn't a surprise, really. It's done more research. It's done more learning. So it is getting there. I don't advise people rely on it. Instead, you need that human element. You need to review it. You need to vet it and you need to add to it.
Absolutely. And then what are your thoughts on getting ranked in AI SEO, AIO, whatever the flavor of the day is, ChatGPT, Gemini, getting ranked in all of these models? What are some of the commonalities that you've seen so far for any projects that you've worked on or just your own analysis on that topic?
Based on just initial research and logic, it boils down to presence. They were scraping pages left, right and centre. So it boils down to, are you mentioned elsewhere? Are you where they were stealing content from? Passing content from. It's not rocket science. It's fairly obvious. It's fairly intuitive. They can do it from your own site. So obviously you need content on your own site, but it's promotion. It's being mentioned, it's being referenced, it's being cited. So there isn't really anything new there to do. The specific part is the patterns. And that boils back to basically information retrieval and what a lot of SEOs should be quite comfortable with, which is recognizing the input to the output. Well, we've got queries, it pulls pages based on set strings. For the AI stuff, it's prompts and responses. See what the pattern is. When you put this in, that comes out. What's similar to that? Find where it's coming from. Then write content that matches.
So because this is looking more at mentions than it is links, do you anticipate that mention spam is going to be the new link spam, where people get Scrapebox rolling, but they're not looking for the link back? They're just going to blast the brand name 10,000 times this month.
Oh, yeah, it's the spam sector, to be honest, are possibly the fastest moving thing in physics. It's, if there is an opportunity, there will be a spammer there within 30 seconds. Yeah, brand mentions, citations, references, getting tie-ins and associations. So if you're up against a competitor, they'll see if they can, what would be the equivalent to a link insert? A brand insert, and get you mentioned on the same page in the same paragraph. Yeah, all of that's coming. To be honest, the fact it isn't already here is somewhat shocking.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah. It's the one downside to a lot of the spam sector is they are lazy. One or two of them will do the research, will do the testing, will figure stuff out. It will be mentioned. You get the ripple effect. And then all of a sudden there's 500 experts. It's coming. It will be here June, July, August, but it will be here.
Yeah. Okay. I want to hear a little bit about your link building philosophy and how that's changed over the years. Again, your content philosophy is, I think, a little bit different than most people. So I'm curious how your link philosophy also differs.
It hasn't really changed. I've basically been stuck in like 2015 and earlier for 10 years now. Links comes in two flavors. That there's the stuff that you arrange. I don't like going to cheap, tacky, nasty mass link sales companies because 90% of the links are useless. There's always a risk that you're going to get burned. Some are known to do ransoming, where if you don't keep with them, the links disappear. It's just not worth throwing money in that direction. Others are higher quality, that they vet sites, they go to sites that don't link to garbage. Your site has to meet a certain threshold on quality. You have to have a certain amount of organic traffic or rankings. They require sites that they're going to link from to be similar. That's a better class of link. That's, if you're going to pay money, you do that or you go privately. You reach out and turn around and say, well, we're not competitors. We do overlap. You cover this here. Would you mind? Or can I sponsor a page? Can I have a mention? How much? And just do it privately. It doesn't break the bank. Media costs, they don't like to admit it, but some of them will take money. And it's not cheap. Just don't do it in Forbes.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
100%.
I remember certain SEOs at the top end got caught doing that, and Google was not impressed. So yeah, no, never get a link on sites like Forbes. Not on those folders anyway. From the main site, fine. But that leads to DPR, digital public relations, which in most cases nowadays is just posh link building. It's not bad. It does what it says on the tin. You will get mentions in media. Some of them will have normal links. They will pass value. But yeah, you know, it's a lot of money, and quite often you're on a page that gets buried within 15 minutes. Newspapers aren't what I call stable sources. You know, there's links to the page on the homepage, then something else comes along and it rolls straight off again. So the actual page with the link to you has very little ranking value. If you want to spend your money on it, fine. I don't recommend doing it solely for SEO. Do it for publicity, do it for awareness, do it for perception, do it for traffic and conversions. Don't do it just to get your rankings. That's not the right approach. Third, and my favourite, though it is time consuming, it is not rapid, is earning links, having content that people will link to. Problem is that generally means you need content for your peers, not your customers. Because customers, that they don't come and buy a washing machine from you and then go, oh, I've got a website, I'm going to tell everyone I bought a washing machine. It just doesn't happen. Instead, figure out who your peers are. They can be in your industry and sector. They could be in a sibling. They could be doing similar roles. You could be looking at people using the same type of software. It doesn't have to be an exact match or an exact fit. It just has to be something useful to them. And then it's things like templates, cheat sheets, guides, instructor graphics, anything like that that people will find useful, you do. And over time, it will acquire links bit by bit by bit. You won't get hordes instantly unless you're already popular or you promote it, which is not a bad thing to do on things like social. Pay for the links. You make a post and then you promote it. You can't really sell something like a book that way because the price of the ads to the conversions doesn't really balance. But for links, when you work it out, pound for pound, yeah, you can, if you've got a good industry that's fairly active, then yeah, you can get some nice link traction that way.
Next question is on Google leaks. There's been a number of algorithm leaks over the years. I think you referenced the DOJ leak recently on one of your posts. I was just trying to find it. I could not. So what were some of the misconceptions? What did SEOs miss from that you're like, this is what it's all about, but like nobody quite caught on? And it could be from any of the leaks, but maybe talk a little bit about some of those.
Well, we've got, I wouldn't class the DOJ stuff as a leak per se, but it is definitely insights. And there's multiple there because they keep being dragged through the courts and showing different documents. Then you had the Google API leak, that huge set of docs on Hexadoc covering various algorithms and attributes. And before that, there were things like, before they were doing a public Google Quality Rater guideline, there was actually a private one that got leaked a couple of times. I think 2014 may have been the last leaked one. But it's always the same. There's little tidbits, but nothing specific. It's never laid out. It's never spelled out. It's never blazingly obvious. And it's down to interpretation because Google will never ever confirm. Well, we can try, we can ask till we're blue in the face. They will always dance around it. My biggest one, which has just come up today, is the clicks. Google uses clicks. Back in,
Yeah, that's right.
It predates 2012. I remember doing it on G+, and I really tried to drive it home, but it got shared beforehand. I think it was AJ Con with the pogo sticking, which I believe was a Yahoo research
Okay.
paper. And people, do a query, click a link, go look at the page, go, no, that doesn't serve, bounce back to the search, click on the next one. Pogo stick. Makes sense. Instead, we've had like 10 plus years of different parts of the SEO sector going, oh, it's bounce rate. Oh, it's time on page, time on site, dwell time. Oh, it's clicks. Oh, it's first click. And it's like, really? There's research papers, there's patents that cover implicit feedback. All of this is fairly well documented. You have a search session. It may be one query, it may be 10. Someone searches for something, they click on a result. If they're happy, they either go away or they come back and do a different query and start a new session. If they're not happy, they may come back, they may click on a different listing, or they may tweak the query, try to refine it slightly. It's not rocket science, it's fairly obvious, and it's been in our face almost every core update, because you can see it in Google Search Console. Oh look, we've lost 25 search terms. We're still getting roughly the same traffic and our conversions are stable. All we've lost was fluff terms that nobody really wanted. How does Google know? Are they randomly picking things? No, they're tracking people and how they search. Why it was ever such a big question, I don't know. What else was there in the API leaks? That was a good one. I think the major benefit was it gave a large part of the SEO sector an insight into technical, because most of them don't have it. They've never researched information retrieval. They've never looked at natural language processing, which is the latest buzz term, or being NLP friendly. Nobody's really done it. That there's a hardcore set of SEOs that the initial research, most other people just read guides and twiddle stuff, which is a good way to learn, but you're missing core fundamental parts. The API leak helped with that a big deal. It showed people that there's all these weird little metrics and this feeds into that and this can qualify that or get it ignored. And all of a sudden it's not just keywords then. No, it's a little bit more complicated than that. That they don't really have anything majorly complicated because it's too time consuming and too costly to run. It's just an awful lot of simple bits that when you pull it all together works rather well. Not perfectly, but fairly well. So long as it's not AIO and the garbage that spits out.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. And then my last question is, what are you looking forward to right now with this crazy landscape that we live in and the AI overviews taking over the search results? I mean, what's most exciting to you right now?
Getting out of it. I hate to be a Debbie Downer, but SEO is in for a fairly big shake-up. That Google, it's not OpenAI, it's not Anthropic, it's not Perplexity, it's not any of the others stealing the web and stealing users. It's Google. Google is basically killing web traffic. They've been doing it for 10 years. They've been slowly but surely throttling traffic back. Knowledge panels, I think, was the first time I complained about it. Then they did like FAQs. Then we had instant answers for those that remember it. Then we ended up with featured snippets. Now we've got AI overviews. Google doesn't want you to go to a website. Google wants you to think Google has all the answers and spend money through Google, because that's coming. It's all going to be pay to play. It's all, we've already seen it with the AIO. Some of the links go
100%.
up to additional searches on Google that have ads. It's a little bit funny. You just killed all the review sites. Now you've got auto reviews coming up. And when we click on links in them, it takes us to your search with your ads.
Yep.
So you've killed off all the affiliates and become an affiliate. Good job, Google.
Yep.
But it's basically web traffic is from search is just going to plummet. But by 2027, we're going to be looking at like 20% of what it was. It's just, unless there is a big swing from legal, nothing's going to stop Google from doing it. So
I agree.
It's, either you've got to broaden your scope and become a digital marketer and handle things like social and paid, or you got to learn to bake things and go off and do something else. I'm personally, we've been working on an analytics tool and it's taking us forever to knock it into the shape we want. But yeah, we're looking at doing complementary services, providing tools and data that aid business, but not directly through SEO, because it's just really, really going to get a shaking soon. So it's going to be unpleasant.
Yeah, agreed. And I think it's a good warning for all the SEOs out there. It's a great time to diversify. Build your own tools. I have my own e-commerce brand that I can buy paid media traffic for, whatever I want. Everybody needs to have other stuff going on than just providing SEO services.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah, amazing. Well, Lyndon, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate you being here today. We will link to your X account from the show notes. Is there any other ways that you want people to connect with you?
Well, there's the website if they feel the need.
Yeah.
It's a shambles. We don't really have a lot of time for it. We're a 2-man team doing the work of 5. Yeah, it's shocking how much work there is to get done. But it's, occasionally we do throw up the odd bit of content. We've got a backlog of stuff that Sasha's promised he will go through and correct all my spellings because I'm notoriously bad at typos. And he removes all my bad words too.
There you go.
So once he's gone through that lot, there will be more content on there. Yeah, it's, people are more than welcome. Come say hi, ask questions. Always around, always happy to help. Yeah, it's social media is there for social. Don't be afraid.
I love it. Thank you so much again. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.